Thank you so much for clicking on this video and welcome back to my channel. This is Aska, Limitless Mom Kenya. A time will come when you will need to start your baby on solid foods. If you're heading there, or if you have a family or a friend who is heading to weaning stage, keep watching. From my research, I gather that there's a difference between complementary feeding and weaning. Weaning is when you completely let go of breastfeeding or formula milk feeding, and complementary feeding is when you complement breastfeeding with solid foods. Pediatricians normally recommend that you start your baby on solid foods from 6 months going onwards, but this varies depending on your preferences as a parent. So make sure before you introduce your baby to solid foods, consult your doctor and a nutritionist to guide you on that specific stage that you're in. If it's earlier than 6 months, consult a nutritionist and a pediatrician about this before you proceed. 3 key things on complementary feeding are texture. Make sure the food is the right texture, the consistency, how thin, how thick it is, and the type of food. Those are the 3 things to consider when you're starting off your baby on solid foods. First thing you're going to need, guys, is plastic spoons like these ones. I got this from Carrefour for 200 shillings, a pack of 20 for 200 shillings at that time when I was introducing my baby to solid foods. If you notice, this plastic spoon has a long handle, and then look at the mouthpiece. It's thin and elongated, so you can be able to, and also the depth is okay. You can be able to scoop porridge or whatever you're giving the baby, and it's not too wide for the baby's mouth when you're introducing them to foods. So these are perfect. I got different color. The pack had different colors in it. Now plastic spoons are good as opposed to metal spoons because the baby is teething at this point in time. So you want something that is gentle on their gums and it's not going to cause irritation or injure them as they're trying to fight off the food. So these are perfect. While shopping for the baby spoons, I also got hold of these containers. This was 20 shillings and this was 30 shillings at Carrefour as well. I got 4 of them, 2 of each. And these containers have been helpful to me to store and control the portions of my baby's food. So after blending, what I would do, I would store them in the containers depending on how I want the portions to be issued to the baby. And then I put them in the fridge so the nanny just takes and feeds the baby, and once it's over, she throws whatever is in the container. So they're really helpful. The size is perfect to start you off on weaning. I also got these containers also at Carrefour. One was 250 shillings. I got 2. The reason why I got this container is because it's a nice sealed container that in case you're traveling or going to church or going somewhere and you need to carry baby's food, it has this thing that controls it. It has this seal that controls leakages. So when you close, it's tight, you close nicely, and there's no leakage that you will get when you put soups in here or runny foods. So this has also helped me. It's called Kitchen Craft. Got it for 250 shillings from Carrefour. Also, you're going to need bowls. As the baby progresses with feeding, you'll need more bowls, more and more bowls, depending on the portions that you'll be issuing the baby food with. So this is the bowl that he's using at the moment because his portions are bigger right now. But there are smaller ones that I had that I cannot seem to find. I think I've been leaving them in places where I've been going to visit because I'm carrying food and my containers as well. Now you're also going to need a blender. I showed you the blender that I use, NutriBullet. This is what I used for my blender, NutriBullet. I got it way before I got my son. So what I would do now for the apples and whatever I'm making, butternut squash or anything, I'd cut them into pieces, boil them, and then when they're ripe and all that and it's ready for the baby to take in, I put them in here. The blades are very sharp, and then I seal this. These are the blades. I seal here. Oh, and just before sealing, I add water. Put it in here in a socket. This thing is very light, and you can carry it anywhere with you. And then you press, and then it blends real quick, like a couple of seconds. It's ready, and then you give the baby. So what I used to do, I would make here, remove the cup. If I've made too much, I remove the cup. There's this seal the containers come with. I seal it and put it in the fridge. Or alternatively, if it's kidogo or it's something I want the baby to feed on immediately, I'll put them in the containers that I'd shown you, and then I put them in the fridge. NutriBullet blenders go for 14,000, others even 14 to 30,000. I think there's one called Baby Bullet that I think also goes for 12,000 if I'm not wrong. It comes with containers, small containers that you can blend and store in your fridge. It comes with a rack that is fitting of all the containers. You just slot it in the fridge. More hygienic, but it's expensive. So here we're working on a budget. If you're looking to get a blender, I would advise you to go get a handheld blender. I think they go for 2,000 on Jumia. One for a brand called Saturn goes for 2,000 on Jumia. That handheld blender looks like this thing for mashing that you just put in your bowl, and then you just press it down and it blends your food for you. It's nice and easier to clean because it's just one thing that you're cleaning. You don't have to deal with a jug or that whole container for blending, and it's even more hygienic. So I prefer the handheld blender if I could, but I already had a blender, so I worked with what I had. If you have a blender already, it's okay. You can use your blender, blend it till it gets to the consistency that you are getting to, depending on the stage of your child's development. And later, when you're already done with blending and all that, my child is now 1 year and 4 months, so we're now using this the mashing potato thing for mashing the baby's food, and this is enough at the moment. We don't do blending unless it's something that is coarse like meat or you know, chicken. We can blend that a little bit, but viazi or rice, we use this mashing thing. This I got it for 200 shillings at Quickmart. So another thing that would be beneficial but is not a must to get is a high feeding chair. I wish I had a high feeding chair myself. I was dreaming of having one when I was pregnant, but later on I realized it's not important and it's too expensive. The prices range from 4,000 to 15,000 shillings. I wanted the one for 15,000 shillings because it's more functional, and after some time you're able to separate the chair with the table and have it as a study table for the baby. But later on I realized it's not something that is an essential as such. So I feed my baby the normal way. I carry him and feed him, or I put him down and I feed him while I'm facing him. So that way you're able to save money. And if you're fancy and you can get that, you can also, you know, consider it because it's helpful in other ways. It helps to make the baby independent. And if you have a dining table, you can just move it closer to the dining table and then, you know, get the baby involved while you're having your meal. There's also a booster chair that you put on your dining chair for the baby, so while you're trying to you know, make the baby blend into the family dinners and lunches as normal, and breakfast as well, you can have a booster chair, put it on the dining chair and then make him closer to the table. So what I normally do, if I'm not carrying the baby, what I do, I put him down on the floor. I get a waterproof mat, just like a Macintosh but a larger one. I got from Gikomba, I'll show you. I put it on the floor and then I have him sit on the floor and me facing him as well. Then I give him food to eat, ones that he can pick. And if I'm giving him food with a spoon, I'm able to reach him easily. Why I'm emphasizing on a waterproof mat is because there'll be spillages, and it's easier to clean a waterproof mat or a Macintosh rather than a normal cloth. So, and with stains, it's also, you know, you're able to control stain removal. Another hack that you can use if you're using a high feeding chair is also put that waterproof mat or a Macintosh just under your baby's feeding chair, because I noticed kids after some time when they're trying to, you know, do baby-led weaning and picking foods, they take the food and throw it down. So it becomes less messy when you just have a rag underneath the high feeding chair that you can just, after feeding and remove him from the feeding chair, you just, you know, wrap whatever was underneath and then you go and kumut outside or you clean it. It's easier. So many people normally ask, can I introduce my baby to cow milk at this stage? Well, yes and no. Cow milk is a very delicate food to introduce your baby in the first stages, because sometimes you do not get to know of your baby's allergies at this stage. You're not able to identify what reacts to the baby and what does not react to the baby. This is a point that you're experimenting to know which one will work best for your child. And cow milk is something that most people normally discourage you from introducing on the first stages of your baby's, you know, solid food introductions. Now, if you have to, because in some situations you have no choice, maybe you don't have enough breast milk, or formula is also expensive and you'd like a cheaper option, cow milk can also be an option. What you do, don't get the one that is straight from the cow, because some normally buy from the cow, directly from farmers. So what you do is get the one that is the KCC brands and the ones that are pasteurized, add a little bit of water and then have it boil, and then you can give your baby. Depending on the state that your child is in, you can consult your pediatrician or your nutritionist, and they can be able to tell you, or even your mother. Another thing that I learned from my pediatrician is that you should not mix milk with food while you're mashing your baby's food, because milk tend to, you know, what's it called, disintegrate some properties of the food and make them, you know, disappear in how it's going to be digested into the system. I don't know how to explain that, but you can consult more with the pediatrician and find out the effect of mixing milk onto your baby's food to give him protein. No, what you need to do is to give milk separately and baby food separately. Do not introduce your baby to sugars yet, but you can introduce them to salt, because they need iodine into the system. They also need minerals, and salt is able to give them that. Sodium as well is important for the baby, so just a pinch of salt while you're mashing the baby's food is good. This, I'm talking about the later stages of weaning, not the early stages. Please note. Another thing is this baby-led weaning thing. So when you get towards 10 months, 8, 9, 10 months, it's important to start training your baby to do baby-led weaning, where they're able to pick pieces of food and put them in their mouth, so they can be able to feel the texture and feel, you know, be able to learn that this is a specific food, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. So here, what you do not force the baby on foods that they do not like. You can be able to just monitor and see what your baby likes, and you know, the good thing is the minerals and whatever nutrients you're expecting to get from those things. If your baby does not like beetroot, you can go look for a substitute that gives those same nutrients to the baby as beetroot does. So just make sure you are there to monitor how the baby is feeding, so that they do not choke. This is another key aspect of baby-led weaning that you need to be careful of, and also of feeding your baby. Make sure that you're feeding them in small portions so that they do not choke. Try and train your baby to be able to eat foods that they like, and they'll eat well, and you'll be able to, you know, have them grow well. So a week before my baby turned 6 months, I went to Kirinyagamila's in town to go and buy him flour. What happens in Kirinyagamila's, you go there and provide your baby's age to the lady that normally writes them down. She writes down your baby's age, then they will give you the flour that is for that specific age. So I went there and told them my baby is just turning 6 months in a week's time. They wrote their 6 months, and then they gave me the unga, the flour. Then they explained to me how I'm supposed to give this baby that flour. If you have any reservations or you have any questions that you'd like clarified, they do it there for you. They have someone who explains it to you, how you're going to give your baby and how you should mix if you need to mix. But they told me most of these flours have already mixed well, so you should not mix it with something else. If you want to mix it with oats, no, don't do that. If you want to mix it with omena flour, don't do that. If you want to mix it with peanut flour, don't do that. They already have it mixed for that specific age that you want to give your baby flour. This is the flour that I was using. This is the Kirinyagamila's flour. I don't know if you can be able to see very well. What they do, they label every month for the baby. Now at that time it was 6 months down here, 6 months. And then when you get to 7 months, 7 months, 8 months, then 9 to 14 months. So now he's at 9 months. So this is the flour that I'm using. When I read through the ingredients, I found out that that flour is mainly rice flour and nothing more, nothing less, just rice flour. And from my research, I also noticed that rice flour is good to start your baby off when you're doing complementary feeding on the first stages, and not uji. You can Google more to find out. Once my baby turned 6 months, what I did is I made that porridge that I had bought from Kirinyagamila's. I made it to be very light as breast milk, and then I did not mix breast milk in it, please note. It was just water and the flour, and then made uji out of it. I made sure it's tokoted kabisa, you know, it's boiled kabisa. Then I gave him 2 spoons of this. First spoon in the morning, and then after some time, after lunchtime, I gave him another spoon just to see how he's reacting to the flour. Second day, I added the portions, made 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, to see how he's reacting to the whole process. So I kept increasing the portions little by little, and then I ended up doing way later. Now I was giving him uji, like a week later I was giving him uji this much. Then I kept increasing, but making sure that the consistency is thin and not too thick so that he doesn't constipate. Talking about constipation, there are a couple of remedies I learned on how to control and how to deal with constipation while it happened. So I used to do this technique of apple puree and pear puree that I learned online. Also which I had consulted with my pediatrician on how suitable it is for the baby, and they gave me a go ahead. So I would cut the apple pieces, maybe a half an apple, and then cut them into pieces, boil them, steam them for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then I would blend them, give them to the baby after food, after every meal, a porridge meal or you know, fruit meal, whatever meal I would give him, I would do the purees. At that point in time, pears were not in season, so I would use apple more than pear puree. It worked fine for me. But in those instances that he got constipation, what I would do, there's this medicine called Bonisan. Bonisan works best for baby who's going through diarrhea or going through constipation. So that I was recommended for by my mom-in-law, who actually, this is a lifesaver. She recommended to me a lifesaver because every time, I even have it till now, but I can't seem to find it. I wanted to show you how it looks like. I will share an image up here on how it looks like, so you can be able to go to the drugstore and get yourself one at the chemist. Sorry. You can share any other medication that you have learned of that has helped your child with constipation that other mothers can be able to learn as well, in case Bonisan is not available in their areas or in the chemists around their area. Apart from porridge, later on from 7 months going onwards, I started introducing my baby to butternut squash and pumpkin. I bought butternut squash, carrots, peas, courgette, and then I stored them in my fridge. So what I was doing is butternut squash, which was not stored in the fridge, boil, blend, gave it to him, thinnest consistency as you're progressing, and then 2 to 3 days I noticed it's not reacting bad to him, so I introduced carrots. I would do butternut squash mixed with carrots, blend, gave them to him. He didn't react badly. 2 to 3 days is okay, no constipation, no nothing. Then I would add spinach to the mix, butternut squash, carrots, spinach, blended, gave him to him. Didn't react badly to him, so I resulted to putting that as another package of a meal for him, for lunch or for mid-morning or for supper. Then I started him on potatoes, also did the same process, started off on potatoes, reacting well to him, fine. Added another ingredient, reacted to him well, fine. Then put it as another part of the menu for a meal for his day. Then I started introducing him to fruits. Pawpaw was one key one, and banana as well. My baby hates avocado. I tried avocado on him. He wouldn't like pawpaws first, and just to help him with his bowel movements and to prevent constipation, he would take it well. Then bananas, he loves bananas, so I would blend bananas and give them to him. He ate them well. He still eats bananas so well till today. I don't know why. I think Kisidi. If you want to try normal uji on your child, make sure you sieve it completely, so the fibers that are in the uji that are complicated to make your baby have issues with the stomach are left out. Another thing that is very important with weaning is hygiene, guys. Hygiene can cause diarrhea to your child, so you need to make sure that you clean the utensils very well, boil them after cleaning them, or use the method that I had shown you in how to clean baby bottles and baby parts and toys as well. Make sure you boil the parts or use Milton tablets to disinfect the baby, parts that you're using to feed him. Also make sure you clean the vegetables very well, especially spinach. Spinach is a culprit of causing diarrhea to your baby, so make sure you clean it very well. Clean your fruits very well, bananas as well. I don't know why people don't normally wash your bananas. You need to wash them, because whatever is out there, you don't know what is around it before you start peeling it off and cutting it off to your baby. So make sure you clean every single thing that you're giving to your baby. Make sure you steam or you heat your baby's food very well. Don't give them food that has stayed in the fridge without heating it completely so that it boils, because that can bring stomach issues. So what to avoid here is food that is cold and has stayed for long in the fridge. Avoid that. Make sure that you give them fresh food. Fresh food is the safe. Make sure the baby's food is boiled first, warm, then you give them to the baby. Not cold, then warm, then you give it to them, because there are some foods that need to completely boil for them to disintegrate very well and mix very well. Make sure you avoid any foods that are prone to giving baby allergic reactions. Number 1 is cow milk that I had mentioned earlier. Number 2 is foods with peanut, foods with so much high protein in them, and manufactured foods. Make sure you give them natural foods, because you don't know of the reactions they would get and the repercussions of manufactured foods in your babies. When you're planning to introduce your baby to solid foods, make sure you're the one who does the blending and cooking of the porridge before you leave the house if you're going back to work, because sometimes you find the details that you would need your nanny to follow are not strictly followed, and then they may end up giving your baby constipation, and you don't want that to happen, because that means more hospital bills, time off of work that you will not be able to gain back. So make sure that you do most of these things yourself, because at this point in time your baby is delicate and it's important for you to be there. Most parents take like a week off of work to be able to monitor their child and see how they're developing and reacting to foods, and then they can be able now to go back to work freely, especially if you're working from far. Make sure you make your baby's food, leave them packed, stored in the fridge, and then you can be able to let your nanny give your baby food. So guys, thank you so much for watching my channel, and thank you so much for subscribing. If you're not subscribed yet and you're a mother, please do, because I have more videos to share with you and more content to share with you that you will thank me for. Make sure you share this video to mothers who have children less than 6 months or even less than 10 months who would need to get to know these advices, and make sure you comment on the section below on what you prefer, what worked for you, and any other thing that you think I forgot to mention that would be beneficial to other mothers watching this video. Make sure you share that on the comment section. They will thank you for that as well. Have a nice time, and I'll see you in my next vlog.